lead the international debate on reforming and ensuring that the global framework can respond to the changing crisis today and conference. 30 years on from the horrific use of rape and sexual violence in the war in Kosovo, we must also ensure that there is much stronger protection for women and girls in Sudan, Myanmar, and other conflicts today. So let me warn all those responsible for orchestrating sexual violence that a reckoning will come for them, no matter how long it takes, as we demand an end to the use of rape as a weapon of war. And I am proud that this government, this Labour government, has pledged to tackle the national emergency of violence against women and girls, taken forward now by Jess Phillips and Shabana Mahmood. And I am determined that we now put that global emergency on violence against women and girls at the heart of our foreign policy too, because everyone has the right to live in freedom from fear. Conference, after the war in Kosovo and the Balkan crisis, we hoped we would not see war in Europe again. But 2 weeks ago, in the beautiful European city of Kyiv, I met up with 2 Ukrainian teenagers. They are brilliant ballroom dancers. They've won international prizes. And when Putin's troops first invaded their country, they escaped with their mums and came to live with us in Castleford. They practiced at the Airedale Methodist Hall. They even gave Ed a few post-Strictly tips. And last summer, they returned home. They train by day, but at night when the sirens go, like countless other families, they have to decide whether to sleep in the hallway or in the basement to hide from drones. This is a sovereign nation under unprovoked attack in Europe. Tens of thousands of Ukrainian children have been abducted, stolen from their parents. We've seen escalating attacks, including more than 600 drones and missiles targeting civilians this weekend alone. But Vladimir Putin should have learned by now, never underestimate the resilience of the Ukrainian people or the determination of their friends. Ukraine's security is our security. Ukraine's fight is our fight. As Ukraine stands firm against Russia, Britain stands firm with Ukraine. But you know, where President Zelensky and President Trump have called for talks on peace, Putin has sought only to escalate war. We've seen Russian drones over Poland and Romania, Russian fighter jets over Estonia, entering NATO airspace. Reckless, dangerous provocation. So that is why our party stands firm in NATO under the leadership of our Defence Secretary, John Healey. An alliance which is vigilant and resolute. And make no mistake, if we need to confront planes in NATO airspace without permission, then we will do so. Because this party should be very proud that in Ukraine's greatest time of need, President Zelensky and the Ukrainian people have had no better friends than our country, our government, and our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. But there is a choice between a Labour foreign policy rooted in our belief that strength at home depends on our partnerships abroad, and whatever chaotic right-wing ideology we end up facing at the next election, with politicians who are happy for us to surrender our national interests or slide into isolation. Because while we are standing up to Putin, Nigel Farage calls him the leader he most admires. While we are strengthening the NATO alliance, they trot out Russian propaganda claiming NATO caused the war. And while we opened our hearts and our homes to Ukrainian children, their policy is to turn them away. While we do new trade deals underpinned by international law, they want to rip up those rules and lose the jobs and investment we need. And while we work together to renew Britain, they tour the world seeking every opportunity to run our country down. Because unlike the plastic patriots in Reform, we in Labour are proud to be British, proud of our values, and we know what our flag really means. Ask those overseas what it means to them when they see the Union Jack or the St. George's Cross, and you'll hear people in every continent talk with admiration about our royal family and our parliament, our heritage and our culture, our armed forces and our universities, the literature, music, film and sport that we've given the world, the British inventions that have changed history. But even more than that, they will tell you that our flags stand for justice, for fairness, for tolerance, and for decency. A flag on the side of an army truck that's meant the difference between life and death for people facing massacre in Sierra Leone or Kosovo. A flag on the side of a crate that's brought vaccines and medicine, food and water to those in desperate need. And a flag on the diplomatic table that means a trading partner you can trust and an ally who will never let you down. That is what our flag means to our friends around the world, the way our country comes together and not divided. And if anyone doesn't believe that, just think back 6 years to when the England's men's football team played a qualifying match in Kosovo and the players lined up for the national anthems. As God Save the Queen began to play, every Kosovan fan in the stadium held up a St. George's flag, and amid them all, a banner which read, "You gave us hope for freedom." And they waved our flag with pride. They applauded our anthem with warmth. They sang the name of our Queen because they remembered how Britain had stood with them. That is what our country stands for around the world. That is what we must always continue to be: a force for good, a force for peace, and a force for hope. Conference, thank you.
Thank you, Yvette Cooper. It's now time to hear from the floor. This is a debate that can cover a range of policy across foreign affairs and defence. As part of this, we're about to hear 2 emergency motions on peace in the Middle East. We recognise that delegates will feel very passionately on this matter, as I do myself. However, I ask all delegates to respect other delegates and their point of view, as well as respecting the law, so that we can have a good debate. We'll start with the 2 emergency motions. Oh. Thank you. We'll start with the 2 emergency motions. Our first motion is peace in the Middle East, motion 1, and will be moved by Hackney North and Stoke Newington CLP, and seconded by Chesham and Amersham CLP. Could the mover and seconder please make their way to the Speaker's desk? The second emergency motion, Peace in the Middle East, motion 2, will be moved by unison and seconded by ASLEF. Please, could those delegates also come to the Speaker's desk to register? Okay. Can I have the first speaker? Thank you.
Good morning, conference. My name is Susan Top, delegate for Hackney North and Stoke Newington, chair of London Young Labour, and first-time speaker. Conference. We meet here at a moment of human tragedy and moral urgency. Since the horrific events of October 7th, the brutal attack carried out by the terrorist organization that is Hamas, we have seen thousands of Palestinians killed. The people of Gaza have endured horrors that none of us can ignore. More than 65,000 Palestinians killed, including 20,000 children. Parents pulling their dead sons and daughters out of rubble, families starving because food is deliberately blocked, and doctors operating by candlelight with no medicine or sterility. And in the West Bank, mass displacement not seen since 1967. These are not just statistics, they are lives. They are children who should be in school, not in mass graves. They are mothers and fathers who want exactly what our families want: safety, dignity, and a future. Conference, I am proud of the historic step our Labour government took last week of recognising the state of Palestine. But recognition must mean action. 7th October was the deadliest day for Jewish people since the Holocaust. Israel has a right to defend itself, but that can't be in the manner that kills 20,000 children. The time for peace is now. That means fully suspending arms sale that could be used in this conflict. That means working with our allies to get aid into Gaza, not just via dangerous airdrops, but via land. And yes, it means pressing for a ceasefire, because every day without a ceasefire means more children buried, more fear. Conference, the Labour government is already showing leadership on the world stage and taking steps with our international allies. By passing this motion, we are giving it our full backing to go further, to act decisively, and to ensure our government continues to take action to end the horror and build peace. Since October 7th, we have seen a horrific rise in Islamophobia and anti-Semitism in my diverse community in Hackney, and I have worked proudly with community groups to combat this, because this is more than just foreign policy. As Labour, we stand against oppression. We stand for international law, and we stand for peace, justice, and security for both Palestinians and Israelis. Support this motion, support our Labour government, and let us send a message of hope that the world is watching. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Can I have the Speaker second the motion, please?
Conference, Parmjit Dand seconding this motion on behalf of Chesham and Amersham CLP. First time here as a constituency delegate, actually. Although the view is familiar, I must say. Now, Conference, this motion does remind us that Hamas perpetrated the worst massacre in Israel's history on October the 7th, 2023. It's crucial that's at the heart of this motion, because we as a responsible party need to get that across. But crucially, as has already been said, this motion spells out that 65,000 Palestinians have been killed, 20,000 of them children. And it's also important to get that documented in this motion because Israel has denied it time and again. The motion supports the role and the jurisdiction of both the ICJ and the International Criminal Court in the investigation of the most serious crimes. And that includes investigating genocide too. Conference, for far too many years, the world has watched whilst illegal the world has watched whilst illegal settlements have expanded on the West Bank. That must end. Now, thank you. I've only got 2 minutes, so. At the heart of this motion is the two-state solution, and we salute the work that our government has done, not least in supporting statehood for the Palestinian people. Having listened to ministers and the weight of work they're involved in, we're not looking to micromanage them. We know they are doing a lot, and we know it is very demanding of their time, and they need to be able to negotiate. But we are also spelling out a path for fairness, justice, and an end to this war. So I urge you all, please support Emergency Resolution 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Can I have the mover for Emergency Motion 2?
Morning, Conference. Christina McInerney from Unison. The momentous the momentous decision by the government to recognise the State of Palestine is a critical contribution towards achieving peace in the Middle East. It confirms the UK's commitment to a two-state solution in deeds, not just words. But this motion is about what we do next. Of course, what happened on the 7th of October 2023 was horrific. And since then, as has been said, 65,000 Palestinians have died. And on the news every single night, we see the Palestinians of Gaza suffering famine, death and destruction. And yes, Conference, genocide. Let's not play with semantics. Let's use the word. Most experts now agree this is genocide. But if we wait for this to be confirmed by a court, it will be too late because it's already happening as we sit here. And that's one of the reasons why I'm asking you to oppose Composite 1.
And Composite 1 also calls for the arms trade with Israel to be suspended only in relation to this conflict. How can that possibly be policed and monitored? And it was really good to see the Prime Minister coordinating recognition of the State of Palestine with other like-minded countries. And that powerful contribution has made a huge difference. You only had to see the vitriolic response from Netanyahu at the United Nations to see that. So if the UK government can bring countries together like this, in the face of opposition from Israel and the USA, it can coordinate to stop aid and support and stop the killing, end the famine and save lives. I know we're sending in aid via airdrops, but this is the most costly and ineffective way to get aid into Gaza. We must do more. Why can't we, along with those other countries that have recognised Palestine, like France, Australia, Canada, Italy and Norway, why can't we all send fleets in loaded with aid and supplies right to the shores of Gaza? We cannot continue to watch from the sidelines in horror as people are being slaughtered, as women and children starve to death or are maimed trying to reach the food that would keep them alive. We need to intervene, as we have done in countries in the past, to stop the slaughter of innocent people and prevent famine. Conference, I don't want to be standing here this time next year and for nothing to have changed in Gaza. Our Labour Party, with our trade unions, have a long and proud history of campaigning for peace in the Middle East. Now is the time to act once more. We've got to find a way to end the war, bring all the hostages back, and of course, Israel has the right to defend itself and protect its citizens, as any country has. But Conference, I ask you this: who is defending Palestine and protecting the people of Gaza?
I can't report now, but,
The tide is turning, with one country after another recognising Palestine. We now need to get the borders open, ensure aid gets in, and the bombs stop falling. Conference, please support this composite, and I ask you to oppose Composite 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Can I have the seconder for this motion, please?
Morning, comrades. Miles Colombini from ASLEF, seconding this motion 2 on peace in the Middle East. I'm a bit of a loss, really. 2 minutes is not enough to do this very complex issue justice. I will try not to repeat what's already been said, although a lot of what has already been said is clearly of vital importance. But it would be remiss of me first not to applaud the decision to recognise statehood for Palestine, and also it would be remiss of me not to mention the appalling, horrific genocide that is quite clearly taking place against the people of Palestine at the hands of the Israeli government. So that is the bit where I do repeat the previous speakers. I really want to focus on this composite rather than the issue, because the issue's been covered. So this particular composite, what it does, it provides a strategy by which to address the crisis in the Middle East, and it also outlines the tools by which that strategy will be delivered. So, banning of arms. That's surely a no-brainer. It would be perverse. It would be perverse to provide anybody, whether it be an individual or a state, with weaponry and then get upset when they use it to do harm. A totally perverse position. So we have to stop supplying Israel with arms. The second part I would like to focus on is the issue of sanctions. And more broadly, or more
sorry,
specifically...
Speaker, your time is up.
Completely?
Completely.
Okay, well, look, we have to have sanctions against Israel. History demonstrates what sanctions can do. We only have to look at South Africa. Please support this. It is a roadmap to...
Thank you, Speaker.
If we are going to be a force for good, it starts here. Support the item. Peace in the Middle East. Freedom for Palestine.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you. So that just shows you that 2 minutes is quite quick. So now we're going to move on to, from speakers from the floor. I'll now take speakers in rounds of 3. If you are called, you will need to register at the desk before coming up to the podium. So can I see all those? Okay. Can I take the delegate with blue jacket and a beard, I think, over there? Can I have the delegate over there with the blue hair, which is there? Thank you. That's easy for me to spot. And one more. I think, can I have the delegate over there with a hand up with a blue jacket? I think, is that? Thank you. Thank you, delegate.
Joshua Garfield, Labour Councillor and Jewish Labour Movement. Conference, for nearly 2 years, we've watched horror unfold. The worst terror attack in Israel's history. The deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust. A war that has devastated Gaza, killed tens of thousands, and with 48 hostages still in Hamas tunnels. 2 years ago, we stood together, right here at Labour Conference in Liverpool, and watched the horrors of October 7th unfold before our eyes. We held a minute's silence in this hall for the men slaughtered, the women raped and murdered, and the children's lives so cruelly ended by violent terror. With us at conference later today is Sharon Lifshitz, the daughter of kidnapped Israelis, one murdered and one freed. But Sharon chooses not vengeance, but peace. The peace that her murdered father Oded believed in, from a kibbutz that escorted Palestinians to life-saving surgery. Her mother Yocheved, who lost everything, yet still calls for reconciliation. Her father, who worked on the ground for coexistence and understanding between Palestinians and Israelis, doing more for peace than most of us will ever manage. That is not the easy path. It's the hardest path, but it's necessary. We would dishonor Sharon's family, her ransacked community, and thousands of war victims if we pass a motion that ignores Hamas entirely, does not even say the word Hamas. If we pass this motion, what would we be saying?
Sorry, delegates, 2 minutes. Sorry, your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Don't do a disservice to Palestinians fighting for peace or Israelis fighting for coexistence. And crucially, our Labour government trying to be a light in this world.
Thank you,
Reject
delegate.
this and choose peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have the next speaker, please?
Thank you. I'm the Secretary of Lincoln CLP, so Hamish Falconer is our
our local MP as well as the Minister for Middle East, Gaza and Afghanistan and Pakistan. So I'm speaking in support of Emergency Motion 1. I've just mentioned I may have a strange accent as well as strange hair because I'm a dual Australian, British citizen, and I hope you all enjoyed Albo's speech yesterday. I'm lucky enough to have 2 Labour Prime Ministers now. And having been politically restricted most of my career, it's fantastic to be here and to actually be able to have a debate where we can influence our government. And they are our government, sorry, we are our government, and we should trust our government that they're on the front line, they know what they're doing, and we should trust in this motion about peace and how we actually get there. So as I mentioned, Hamish is our MP. He feeds back to our constituency Labour Party meetings every month. And we see the personal cost to him of being on the front line and seeing what happens in Gaza. And I ask my colleagues in Lincoln CLP, please don't personally attack him. You can see how hard it is. But we need to trust our government and support Emergency Motion 1. Thank you.
Can I have the next delegate, please?
Hello, conference. My name is Josh Lissler-Jennings, and I'm a first-time delegate and first-time speaker. Thank you. Conference, I urge you to support motion 1 and vote against motion 2. I know that everyone in this room and in this government is utterly outraged by what we have seen unfold in Gaza across the last 2 years. The only way to solve this conflict is through supporting the government's diplomacy with international allies to deliver a two-state solution. We must stay unified and support the government. I urge you to vote against the second motion because it does not mention October 7th and Hamas, which fundamentally undermines this government's position. It is absolutely critical that we unify and support the government on this matter. As the Prime Minister has said across the last 2 days, we are utterly in the fight of our lives against reform. If we do not unify on this issue, conference, we must ask ourselves, what would a reform government do about Gaza and Palestine? They wouldn't have recognized Palestine, and they wouldn't be working night and day to secure a lasting peace. That is why it is so important we remain unified on this issue, and that is why, conference, I urge you to support motion 1 and vote against motion 2. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. We've only got time for one more round, so if you could put your hands up in the air and I'll be able to, I think delegate there with the white jumper, is that? Yeah. I've got someone, can I have the delegate there? Have you got a golden, yeah, thank you. And I think, is there a delegate? Oh, can I, is that a delegate over, right in the back with, have you got, is that green or olive that you got on? There, that's you, yep, that's, thank you. And I'm sorry, that is going to be our last round. As you know, this is a time debate, so my apologies. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity of speaking. I'm also speaking in favour of motion 1 and against motion 2. I'm speaking in favour of peace and against stoking the conflict. We do have to recognise the hurt and damage on all sides, and not to recognise the atrocities of October the 7th is appalling. Israel is at war. Rockets are being fired into the country on a regular basis. Fires are being set in fields of crops. People are being attacked in the street. But none of this is reported. My 8-year-old cousin spends regular time in his bomb shelter with his family. Doesn't get mentioned on the BBC. There's a lot of discussion today and in the conference generally about language, about misinformation, about the words we use from people like Trump and reform. But we need to be really careful about the extraordinary use of language that has happened around this debate. When I was asked about hostages recently, somebody argued about, what about the Palestinian hostages? You can't be so loose about these terms. October the 7th was an extraordinary event and should never be repeated. We have to acknowledge that the leadership on both sides is destructive and undesirable, and we've been there with governments we don't like. I've believed in the two-state solution all my life, and it's never seemed further away. Please don't stoke the conflict. Please recognise the hurt on all sides, and please vote for motion 1. Yeah.
Can I ask you the next delegate, please?
Hello, Conference. Councillor Situl Punja from Ruislip, Northwood and Pinner. Conference, I speak in support of motion 1 because, Conference, if there is one thing that we must do here today, we must leave this debate ensuring our ministers and government have our full support in delivering lasting peace between Israel and Palestine. Ambitions over a two-state solution have been part of foreign policy in the Middle East for decades. Conference, it is this government under Prime Minister Keir Starmer who took the historic and monumental step to recognise the state of Palestine, a vital step for a two-state solution to be achieved. Palestine must be part of the peace solution, not a consequence of it. The atrocities committed by Hamas on October the 7th in Israel and the devastation caused in the West Bank by Israeli forces killing more than 65,000 Palestinians since October 2023 are imprinted in all of our minds, and we want this to stop. Sadly, motion 2 does not even mention Hamas or the West Bank. That's why I speak to motion 1. Conference, as we sit safely in our seats here in Liverpool, debating over language and discourse, what should be and shouldn't be, Palestinians and Israelis are losing their lives. So let's come together and call our Labour government to build fervently on the steps it has already taken and to do everything in its power to help bring about lasting peace. Let your voice be the part of that hope. Please support motion 1 and reject motion 2.
And next speaker, please.
Good morning, Conference. My name is Jennifer Hemingway from Smethwick CLP, speaking to this very important debate and encouraging you to vote for motion 1 and against motion 2. Conference, language matters. The October 7th atrocities were the worst terrorist attack in Israel's history, and I still recall that emotional punch to the gut when it happened. Hamas must never play a part in a future Palestine, and motion 2 fails to recognize this. Our government has rightly recognized Palestine, and I am proud of our Labour government for this. But going forward, Hamas can have no role in this. And Conference, on the banning of arms sales, there are some important things to note. The complete banning of arms sales would prevent NGOs from receiving body armor. This keeps those distributing vital aid safe. Motion 1 calls on the banning for arms sales that would be used in the conflict, a minor but very important detail. Conference, the horrors in the Middle East break my heart. I'm sure this is true for many others in this hall. And our government is working to try and bring peace to the Middle East. Let's not make their job harder by supporting a motion with clumsy language. Please support
Motion 1. Thank you.
Who's going to vote for it next? Point of order. Okay, if you want to go to the rostrum, and then we'll take your point of order, if it is a point of order. Do another round. Shall we do another round? Or shall we do another round? Sorry about this, we're just waiting for the point of order. I might take another round while we're waiting, just in case we can get some more speakers, okay? So if I could ask you to put your hands in the air. Straight in front of me, a delegate with the glasses, blue shirt. Let's have a look. Sort of delegate over the back there with yeah, that's you, yeah, you. And sort of, I'll a delegate there with just on the corner, yeah, you, yeah, with the, yeah, thank you. That's all. So we can still they're still discussing the point of order, so we'll take some more speakers while they're still doing that. Thank you. Thank you.
Morning conference, Richard Howitt, Cambridge CLP, National Policy Forum representative. And nearly 10 years ago, when I stood down from the European Parliament, I said I was making my last speech to this conference, how times change. But I was proud to propose the resolution in the European Parliament that successfully won recognition from that body for the state of Palestine. And I want to say how proud I am of our government that you have done the same for our country. In this short address, I want to address Ukraine. I was shuddered and shocked by what happened to President Zelensky in the White House. And I'm so deeply proud that our Labour government has turned that around. That we've done it once again by standing tall with other European leaders, that we've been tightening sanctions so that no one associated with British profits from Russian aggression, and that we take the Labour Party's commitment to solidarity to commit to the defence of our allies in Poland and Estonia, who don't say what would happen if we are attacked, but when we we are attacked. And we have to be honest with the British people too, that the threat extends to our shores, that our UK defence systems have been subject to 80,000 cyber attacks in the last year, that there have been drones in Poland, air flyovers in the Baltic, but that a Russian spy ship made a public incursion into British waters over some of our critical underwater cables. Chair, no one in this party wants war or conflict. Our commitment to a strong defence is precisely to deter, to stop war. We've seen what results from appeasement to totalitarianism. That's the importance of our support for Ukraine today. And our country, our Labour government's actions now are essential to stopping the slide to war now. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Next delegate.
Thank you, Conference. Robert Evans from Esher and Walton. Conference, our motto here today, this conference, is Renew Britain. But as we've heard from Yvette Cooper this morning and yesterday from Anthony Albanese, it's also about renewing Britain in the world, renewing Palestine and renewing Ukraine, as the previous speaker said. It's about renewing Britain and the world from the Middle East to Eastern Europe, from Australia to Asia. But Conference, it is also about, as we heard from Yvette, renewing our relationships with Europe, with NATO, to enable us to take coordinated action on the important points in these mottos. As an MEP for 15 years, I sat around tables with like-minded people, colleagues from other European states, and sometimes people whose minds I didn't really like, but working together for common European approaches to address important issues, migration, asylum, as Yvette said, joint European policies to support disabled people and allow students to travel to other European countries. I'm delighted that Yvette is taking a strong, powerful message to the UN, following in David Lame's footsteps, and rebuilding our important relations with the EU. Relations that were so badly damaged by Brexit, a self-inflicted wound brought about by the Conservatives with, let's not forget, Lib Dem support. And Conference, I'm proud, really proud, of the way that Keir Starmer is standing tall on the European stage to support the points in these motions. A global statesman in a way that Rishi Sunak, Boris Johnson, or even Liz Truss could never have been. Working with President Macron of France, working with Chancellor Merz of Germany and other leaders to not just renew Britain, but renew important ties, restore important values, and renew a common sense of global decency. Please support. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. And the final delegate speaking on this. Okay, if you want to go to the rostrum control, that would be great. Thank you.
Good morning, Conference. Margaret Pinder, Councillor Margaret Pinder, Beverley and Holderness, CLP. Thank you. I'm speaking in support of motion 1. Writing in the Financial Times, Yuval Noah Harari described the conflict in Gaza as being fueled by a mutual horror of destruction, and that these were not irrational fears on either side, based in either paranoia or unreason, given the history. It's taken us a long road to get to this point where we're recognising a Palestinian state, and I'm sure I echo many in the hall to wish that it had been a much shorter one. But international politics is complicated. I'm glad our previous delegate mentioned the work of Hamish Faulkner. I've been very impressed Conference, I tell you, in terms of foreign policy, the grown-ups are not just back in the room, but back on the international stage. I think in our CLP, we held an extremely thoughtful and constructive debate on the situation in Gaza, in which we agreed on a very important principle in that we do not conflate the actions of the Netanyahu regime with the Israeli people any more than we conflate Hamas with the actions of the Palestinian people. I think we've been better at doing the former and less so at the latter, which is why I think it's important that we support the motion that mentions the massacre on the 7th of October in 2023, because that act was deliberately designed to put the people of Israel in fear in their own state, and that's a very fundamental principle for Israel. As a state, we must be active, but we also must put actions into words in an international context. Conference, I urge you to support this motion, and although there is much to recommend in motion 2, I think we must recognise what happened on the 7th of October so that we can support both parties to an equitable solution as good international actors. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. Thank you, everyone, for that debate. Conference, we will now hear from our Secretary of State for Defence, John Healey. Thank you, John.
Conference, it's an honour to speak in this international debate, a debate dominated by the agonies of the Palestinians in Gaza, a debate in which we redouble our determination to work for the end of the Israeli offensive, the release of all hostages, the flood of aid that's so badly needed, and the two-state solution, which is the only hope of a lasting peace. And Conference, I'm proud to address you again as your Labour Defence Secretary. Proud after 12 months of change. We've given our armed forces the biggest pay increase for 2 decades. We've brought 36,000 military homes back into public ownership. We've announced record levels of support for veterans. We've won the £10 billion warship deal with Norway, which will secure 4,000 good unionised jobs for the next 15 years. And we've made the biggest increase in defence spending since the end of the Cold War. This is Labour, delivering for defence, delivering for Britain. Conference, 3 weeks ago, I was in Kyiv. I saw homes bombed, buildings destroyed. I met Ukrainian troops and drone factory workers. And I tell you, they are defiant. They are determined, fighting back Putin's brutal invasion. And their freedom is our freedom. A secure Europe needs a strong, sovereign Ukraine. And that's why we've stepped up UK leadership on Ukraine. That's why we're providing the highest ever level of military aid to Ukraine this year. And that's why we're leading over 30 nations in the coalition of the willing, ready to provide the security guarantees for when peace comes. And 1,313 days into this war, I'm proud that Labour, proud that Britain remains united for Ukraine. And Conference, our message to Moscow from Liverpool today is this. President Putin, you will not win. Stop the killing, start the talks, agree a peace. We will stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes. Conference, we are now living in a new era of threat, and that demands a new era for defence. That's why we're making this historic increase in defence spending. And with this Labour investment, we're making Britain more secure. And we're making defence an engine for growth, with a defence dividend measured in good jobs right across the United Kingdom. And defence proves that we are still at heart a nation of makers. Warships, we make them in Glasgow. Submarines, we make them in Barrow. Armoured vehicles, we make them in South Wales. Artillery barrels in Sheffield. Advanced drones in Swindon. AI systems in Plymouth. And those frigates for Norway, we start them across the Mersey here in Liverpool. Conference, with Labour's defence spending, I want to make Britain the best place in the world to invest and to grow a defence business. We will make more in Britain. We will back British industry. We'll back British innovation. We'll back British jobs. This is Labour. Delivering for defence, delivering for Britain. But you know, Conference, who won't back defence jobs? The Scottish nationalists. They refused to fund a new advanced welding centre in Glasgow. So I can announce today that the Labour government now will step in and provide the funding needed. They won't, we will. And what of the other parties? Are they any better on defence? The Tories. They left our armed forces hollowed out and underfunded. The Lib Dems, they cut the size of the British Army to its smallest since Napoleon. And Reform. They praise Putin and they put down NATO. Conference, we are the party that created NATO in that great Attlee government after the war. Now we are the party growing jobs and growing the army, the party facing down Russia and strengthening NATO. Conference, Labour is again the party of Britain's defence. And as Defence Secretary, I get to work with some of the most outstanding people, day in, day out. And if ever you need reasons to feel proud about Britain, then look to those who serve our country to defend us all. Our soldiers on NATO's front line with Russia, our pilots dropping aid into Gaza, our submariners patrolling the seas for weeks on end, our sailors on the carrier, reinforcing and reassuring allies in the Indo-Pacific. And I say to them, we can't fix 14 years of Tory failure overnight, but Labour will match your dedication with our determination to support you and to improve service life. And that starts with better homes. You know, a few weeks into government, I visited a military base, and I saw the result of years of Tory neglect. Damp, mould, pests, a hole in the wall of a bedroom of one of the children. And that's why we've pledged 1.5 billion extra for military homes in this Parliament. That's why we've introduced a new consumer charter to drive housing standards higher. And today, we go further, a new approach, forces first. We will offer our forces priority access, or first dibs, if you like, to new homes built on surplus MOD land, making home ownership a reality for more of our services personnel and veterans. Better homes, better pay, better lives. Conference, this is Labour, delivering for defence, delivering for Britain. This is Labour, just 1 year into government, much done, but so much more to do. This is Labour, making our country more secure at home, strong abroad, renewing our country for good. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And now it's time for Shabana Mahmood, who will take over from chair for me. Thank you very much, everyone.
Right, hello conference. Our debate now moves on to the economy and growth, where we will be hearing from Peter Kyle and Rachel Reeves, our Chancellor. But first, we're going to have more contributions from the floor. We're going to start with moving the composite motions. Composite 8 is on guaranteed hours and will be moved by USDOR and seconded by GMB. So could I ask the mover and the seconder to make their way over to the Speaker's desk, please? After that, we're going to have the emergency motion, which is on emergency support for automotive supply chain workers following the JLR cyber attack, and that will be moved by Unite. So could I also ask the delegate, please, to get themselves registered at the Speaker's desk. And then we will have composite 12, which is on industrial energy prices, and will be moved by GMB and seconded by ASLEF. And again, could the mover and the seconder get themselves into position at the Speaker's desk. After we have moved and seconded those three motions, we will then take delegates from the floor in the usual way before we hear from the main acts. Right, so can I first have the USDO delegate then, please, for composite 8 on guaranteed hours? You've got 3 minutes, delegate. Thank you.
Chair, conference. Joanne Thomas, USDO General Secretary, moving the motion on guaranteed hours. Conference, the Employment Right Bill being introduced to Parliament within the first 100 days of government wasn't just an incredible achievement, it was a line in the sand, a line between the despair brought by 14 years of Tory rule and hope brought by this Labour government, and we drew that line together, trade unions and the party that we created. And it all marked a new beginning for employment rights, new protections at work, a stronger voice at work, and crucially, more security at work. Conference, the members that I represent in retail and distribution are hard-working people. They serve their communities and their jobs matter. And yet too often, they are treated like they don't matter. From 1 week to the next, their hours can change at the whim of their employer. They can be working 10 or 20 hours over their contracted hours every single week, but those hours can be taken away without any notice. And those hours count for nothing when people are trying to get a mortgage or take out a loan. They can't plan their finances, their childcare, or their lives, and they are constantly worried about whether they'll be able to pay their bills. Conference, we all know that is no way to live. The Employment Rights Bill will bring in the right to a contract that guarantees the number of hours that you regularly work, and we've campaigned really hard for this and are delighted that it's now to become law. But as always, the devil is in the detail, and the secondary legislation will decide exactly who benefits from this right. We have no doubt whatsoever about who it should be applied to, because it was written down in black and white in the plan to make work pay. Labour promised it would apply to everyone, and we campaigned on that promise. But now there is a risk that this promise will be diluted. The right could be limited to only cover workers who are contracted on a low number of hours, meaning millions of workers will miss out. This is causing unintended consequences, because if the right only covers a select group of workers, who do you think the employer will offer the overtime to? They'll offer it to the people who aren't entitled to get it guaranteed in their contract. Of course they will. And it means that the people on the lowest hour contracts, the lowest paid workers, and by the way, more likely to be women, more likely to be disabled workers, more likely to be black workers, will miss hours on their need to live on. This won't just undermine the new right, it would actually make some of the most vulnerable workers even worse off than they are now. And Conference, this might sound complicated, but to the government, I say the solution is a simple one. Just do what we said we were going to do. Provide guaranteed hours for everyone, security for everyone, fairness for everyone. And I'm proud that in the face of anti-worker opposition from Reform, the Tories, the Lib Dems and the bad bosses, this Labour government stood strong. It stood behind a plan to make work pay, and it stood up for working people.
I'm sorry, Delegate, can you wind up, please?
But now we need to push to make this a reality. Conference, let's make sure that this doesn't just belong to government, doesn't just belong to the unions, it belongs to every single worker. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And then we have our speaker from the GMB, please. Thank you.
Chair, Conference. Barbara Plant, GMB National President. Proud to second Usdor's motion on guaranteed hours. Workers that I speak to up and down the country say to me that Labour's manifesto must be delivered in full. The rights that have been denied for far too long. It was never going to be easy. There was always going to be hostility from bad bosses. But we must remember who we promised change to at last year's general election. The millions of working people who put their hopes in Labour's manifesto. A year on, our members still hold out hope that this change will come, and it cannot come soon enough. Over 1 million workers are still exploited on zero-hour contracts. Employers using zero-hour contracts often say it provides workers flexibility, but 2/3 of workers on 0 hours have been on them for more than 12 months, and nearly half for 2 years or more. That's years with no guarantee that you have the money to make ends meet, that you can plan your life or be there for your loved ones. There's nothing flexible about that. It's no wonder that the polling by the TUC has found that 8 in 10 zero-hour contract workers want regular hours. Conference, it was bad bosses who fought against the national minimum wage and the Health and Safety Act at Work. Both Labour achievements that apply to all workers today. But why should a right to guaranteed hours be any different? Let's get on with making work pay and delivering the right to guaranteed hours in full. I second.
Thank you. Thank you, Delegate. Can we now have the Unite Delegate for the emergency JLR motion, please? But she's got 3 minutes.
Thanks, Chair. Maggie Ryan, moving this emergency motion for Unite the Union. Conference. Jaguar Land Rover has been hit by the most disruptive cyber attack in our country's industrial history. Production has stopped until at least October, but could be delayed further. That doesn't just mean disruption for our car plants and the 30,000 workers employed across JLR. It also means disruption for over 100,000 workers across the components and logistics supply chain. Our union's frontline reps and officers have been working night and day to secure emergency bank hours and layoff agreements to protect jobs and wages. But as days are lost and factories are idle, anxiety grows, as does the risk of workers going unpaid or losing their jobs. This motion is calling for emergency support for wage and job protection for all impacted workers. The precedent has been set. Earlier this month in Scotland, Unite and GMB succeeded in negotiating a rescue package for electric bus builder Alexander Dennis to prevent closure. That included a wage protection scheme for workers covering 100% of wages between the government and the company, and is the first of its kind since the pandemic. Conference, in recent weeks, our General Secretary has been in talks with the new Business Secretary and his predecessor, fighting to secure the future of JLR and its supply chain. Unite welcomes the recent announcement that the government is preparing to offer financial assistance worth 1.5 billion to JLR in order to do that. This is an important first step. It shows the government has listened to the concerns raised by Unite. It is now vital that this money gets to the workers who need it and is used to prevent the loss of jobs or wages. Taking action to protect jobs is exactly what we expect a Labour government to deliver. Governments have supported the banks. It is only right to support the future of manufacturing. Conference. This cyber attack is taking place within a historic low production volume crisis for our automotive sector. Many car plants are running at only half capacity. There are many causes for this, including the disastrous impacts of Trump's tariffs and a painful transition to electric vehicles. Conference, this wider crisis has already pushed the sector, especially the component supply chain, to a critical point. Without urgent support, it will fall, and it will take our industry with it. We know that automotive is a global industry. It is a world-leading industry, and we are proud of that.
Delegate, can I ask you to wind up, please? Thank you.
Being a global industry shouldn't mean UK workers are left exposed to every global crisis. Automotive workers are looking for our support from our party and from our government. Support us. Please support this motion. I move.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, on the emergency motion, can I just have somebody second that from the floor, please? Thank you very much. Great. And then can we move on to composite 12 on industrial energy prices with our GMB delegate first up? Thank you.
Chair, Conference, Sharon Yates, GMB, Moving Composite 12. I'm a proud working class pottery worker, just like my mum and dad. Think for a moment about the plates that we will eat from tonight, or the bathroom sinks that we wash our hands in. Those objects may mean little to some, but they mean the world to me, because these are products of Britain's world-famous ceramic industry. In Stoke, we call it the pots. The most highly skilled potters make ceramics in my town, and we export them around the globe. But the industry we rely on is dying. Spiralling energy prices, especially gas, means that UK ceramic firms fork out £875 million in energy costs each year. That's right, almost £1 billion just on energy costs. All while counterfeit products from China have flooded our own market, driving down demand for goods we make. The results are devastating. 3 Staffordshire ceramic firms have collapsed just this year. And last month, Armitage Shanks, an iconic sanitary brand, announced it had to close one of its kilns. Hundreds of workers, thousands of families, all left in despair. Conference, we know what happens next. The decline of our industries and Tory austerity has led to more crime, more drug abuse and empty high streets. My famous 6 towns are shadows of their former selves. Is that what country we want? Allowing industries like ceramics to collapse around while importing poorly made products and low-paid workers is bad for growth. And this is against Labour's values. Conference, we potters are fighting for our jobs every single day. But our Labour government must fight also for the jobs that exist today, not just the jobs that will exist tomorrow. The government has helped our industry with electric costs, but we rely on gas. If we don't get the help the industries like ceramics within energy costs now and invest in our cleaner future, we will keep losing decent unionised jobs. And when those jobs go, our communities go with them. People become desperate, and no one preys on desperate people more than Nigel Farage. Conference, we must back British manufacturing, because this is how we secure our future. You cannot build houses, make steel, or even jet planes without ceramics.
Delegate, can you wind up?
And, yeah, nearly finished. And for every 2 jobs in ceramics, you support a 3rd job elsewhere. So I'm saying to Conference, please support Composite 12. And I say to the Labour government, do not let the lights go out on our ceramic industry. Let's make our future proud and not proud
Thank you, Delegate. Thank
of
you.
the past. Back our British ceramics.
And now we have our delegate from ASLEF to second the motion. Hi, Mick.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Conference. Proud to support Composite 12. I've been here many times calling for the renationalisation of utilities, rail and mail, and I'm proud to be part of the party that's renationalised my railways. But it doesn't mean we haven't inherited a legacy under the previous privatisation that's hindered manufacturing, that's hindered growth, that's hindered jobs, that's hindered prosperity. And we find ourselves in this ridiculous situation in the railway I haven't said we're the greener and more better alternative, where we are mothballing electric engines in the freight sector because of the high cost of electricity. And we're bringing out archaic diesel engines. And I'm not against heritage traction. I quite like railways. But at that same time, they are not the greener option. They're not where we need to be and not where we need to go. And also, if we want to grow manufacturing, we have to be part of that real-time delivery process, that green agenda that gets our goods from A to B where they should be. And the Tories spectacularly failed in 14 years to continue that rolling programme of electrification that we've supported and that we need to make our railways better, but also to offer our customers in the freight sector the transport they require, to allow our manufacturers to grow, to allow us to get to where we need to be. So part of this is calling for that rolling programme of electrification to come back. But I think just one or two little things. Wouldn't it be nice if British steel was the rails of our railway and manufactured in the UK? Wouldn't it be nice if all the manufacturers in the UK could use that green integrated transport system to get their goods from A to B? Wouldn't it be nice that we could undo the problems of the Tories and create that fairer energy system I think that we all aspire to? So it is about what we want for the future generations. It is about completing those supply chains. It is about growth. It is about future jobs. It is about prosperity. It is about apprenticeships. So please support.
Thank you, Nick. Now, conference, unfortunately, we are running very short of time. So in this section, I'm actually only going to call a couple of speakers before we hear from Peter. But don't worry, this session will continue later on this afternoon. And so if you do want to speak, you'll get another chance when conference reconvenes this afternoon. So can I have a show of hands for the two that I'm going to pick now, please? Okay, so in the middle section, there's only one person who's put his hand up there. You, sir, thank you. And the woman in green, there you go. That's my two. But don't worry, everybody else, you'll be able to speak later this afternoon. Thank you. If the delegates could come to the speaker's desk, and you've got 2 minutes.
Conference and Chair, I'm Kerry Cassidy, here as a delegate for ASLEF, the Train Drivers Union. We should have been seconding the emergency support for automotive supply chain workers, but it was seconded from the floor. ASLEF stands in solidarity with Unite the Union and all workers affected by the situation at Jaguar Land Rover. This data breach has shown a weakness in the safeguards that support our core industries. We must do more to protect these sectors and the workers in them. We welcome the government's decisive action over the weekend, but it is now vital that our long-term industrial strategy builds in robust safeguards to protect this supply chain as it supports so many industries, from our railways to our steel sector. And we must give workers the guarantee that their livelihoods will be secure in the face of risks like these. Any pause in regular workflow at businesses like Jaguar Land Rover has a domino effect on the wider network. As the trade union for train drivers, ASLEF has seen firsthand the impact on the supply chain. The interruption of car production at Jaguar Land Rover has affected the transport of steel coil for body pressings, which has resulted in train traffic supplying both steel and completed cars to the docks for export being halted. Rail freight companies will continue to see a drop in businesses while this situation is ongoing, impacting other industries who rely on these parts and potentially the jobs of ASLEF members. The rail freight industry is a huge part of our supply chain, creating pathways for goods to reach customers and for businesses to export products, bringing billions into the UK economy. Our industrial strategy will only work if it protects all businesses up and down the country. That means considering the wider-reaching supply chain and the workers in those businesses. Conference, we ask on behalf of all workers and businesses affected that you support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Next delegate, please. Thank you.
Cliff Bowen speaking on behalf of Unite the Union.
Conference, my union fully supports this crucial composite. The UK needs secure, internationally competitive energy prices to support our critical industrial base. That includes steel, chemicals, textiles, refineries, pharma, glass, railways and our oil and gas sector. We need the government to have a clear industrial strategy to support the key sectors and their skilled workforces as they face the twin challenges of global instability and climate change. Conference, I speak from experience. I represent over 35,000 oil and gas workers in the North Sea, where we are losing 1,000 jobs a month. 1,000 jobs a month. Death by 1,000 cuts, and it cannot continue. We need a genuine workers' just transition to low-carbon technologies with sustainable, high-skilled jobs. A real just transition for energy workers with like-for-like job replacements, reskilling and proper protections to any job that is at risk. Grangemouth showed us what failure looks like. 100 years of refining ended, 2,000 jobs lost, a broken £200 million government promise and a community devastated. Empty promises of a just transition ringing in the workers' ears, and we are still waiting on that £200 million. We cannot repeat this. Now our members at the Lindsay Oil Refinery face similar threats, putting over 1,000 jobs at risk, plus many more in the supply chain. A disgraceful situation that needs government intervention and to be resolved. Conference, the transition to a low-carbon economy cannot be left to the market. There can be no ban without a plan. We demand a fully funded workers' plan for jobs at the heart of our industrial policy. We will no longer accept decarbonisation by deindustrialisation. No more disgraceful closures like we've seen at Grangemouth. Support UK jobs, support workers, support the composite.
Thank you very much, Delegate. And again, if there are others who want to speak, you'll have another chance later this afternoon in the same debate. So, Conference now, please welcome the Secretary of State for Business and Trade, Peter Kyle.
On behalf of my amazing ministerial team, thank you for such a warm welcome to Conference. Now, let me start by making something absolutely crystal clear. I will implement the Employment Rights Bill in full. And Conference, let me pay tribute also to the extraordinary work of Angela Rayner, not just on this bill, but for so much more too. We are eternally grateful to all that she has given to our movement. Now, I believe in public services. It's what brought me into this movement in the first place. And I also believe in the success of British businesses too. You see, I don't believe that you can have one without the other. And Britain only succeeds when it gets the best from both. Businesses and workers, public and private, manufacturing and services, traditional and new. You see, Conference, to be pro-public services, you have to be pro-business too. This is why we have an industrial strategy launched by Johnny Reynolds, which will make all parts of our country better off. So when Jaguar Land Rover was hit by a cyber attack, and I look at the countless businesses in the supply chain that are being affected, being pro-business means doing what we can to ensure that the automotive sector can succeed. Conference, last week I visited Jaguar Land Rover. I met workers, unions, management, supply chain companies, and that's why I have announced a £1.5 billion support, a huge amount of money to help a hugely important company. Conference, That is the difference a Labour government with a modern industrial strategy can make. So, my dad grew up just 2 miles away from here in Wavertree. He left school at 14. He was in the Navy at 16, where he said that he learnt discipline. He worked as a door-to-door salesman and then went on to run his own business. So I understand. I know what it takes. I've seen the hard work it takes to run a business. I've lived it, and that's why I will do everything I can. I will encourage and reward entrepreneurs for building the businesses that are creating the wealth. That's why I know it's so important to have a government that is on your side. I stand fully behind our small businesses plan to make sure that businesses are paid on time so that they can grow. And that means not just the people who run businesses, but the people who work in the businesses too, including people who have come here and now have indefinite leave to remain. So, on your behalf, let me say something directly to them. You are welcome, you are valued, and you do a great job for Britain. Whether you are a health worker, a management consultant, whether you're a social worker or a musician, we thank you. Thank you. So how do I know I'm right about this? Because Nigel Farage thinks I'm wrong. And that's also why it's important that we have digital ID. I don't need to tell unions that the undercutting of terms and conditions is not only wrong, but it damages the relationship between employers and employees. Digital ID cards are part of the fight against cheap labour, undercutting business and unions who play by the rules. And to those employers who exploit people for a quick buck, let me be clear. Your days are numbered. This movement is for fair pay and fair work. Conference, no one said that government would be easy. And I know that sometimes we've made it look unnecessarily hard. But governing is hard. And it's hard because you have to take difficult decisions. Everyone knew that there was no money. And the heart of my job is to help grow the economy so that we have more money to deliver the services that we all want and our country deserves. But at the beginning of this journey, we have to do things that are tough. We have to deal with people that are hard. We have to engage with people that don't believe what we believe. We have to respect people with whom we have honest disagreements. Because if we don't forge strong global relationships, our businesses cannot fulfill their potential. Our economy cannot grow, our country cannot get better. Now, I want to thank the team at the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology. They will have already found out how brilliant their new Secretary of State, Liz Kendall, is. The opportunity for me to be fully immersed in the future technologies was eye-opening, and that experience will stay with me in this job too. So I want to say a few words about AI and the impact I believe that it will have on the future of businesses, the workforce, the country more generally too. We cannot be the party that tries to live in the past. Now that space is already occupied by Reform and the Tories. We are the party of the white heat of technology. We are the party of progress. So it falls on us to facilitate the future. We cannot stop AI from changing our economy no more than we can hold back the tide. But we can use the power of government to harness it and to shape it. And this Labour government will leave nobody behind. When we came into office, we were the sick state of Europe, fashioned on a messy Brexit, based on the promises of better deals for farmers, better deals for businesses, better deals for workers, promises of trade deals galore, and the golden prize of a US trade deal. Now, in less than 12 months, Keir Starmer has re-established Britain back as a powerhouse on the international stage. And why is that important, conference? It's important because it allowed us to do the first USA trade deal, a deal that meant safe jobs and greater opportunities to export. It allowed us to do new trade deals with Europe to begin to correct the terrible damage done by the Conservatives. We have much more to do, but it is a good start. It allowed us to do a new deal with India, opening up new, exciting export markets and opportunities. And conference, it has meant that companies who would not look at this country 15 months ago are now investing in our future, our jobs, our people. So we welcome the investments of Microsoft, £22 billion investment, their largest ever into the UK. Google, 5 billion. CoreWeave, 1.5 billion. Salesforce, 1.4 billion into our country. And why are they coming here? They're coming here because of a Labour government. And conference, we are going to grow the economy. And I can tell you why I'm so confident that we will. Firstly, as we all know, we have the best workforce in the world. We also have the finest universities in the world. We are a country full of curious minds that want to build and harness the new. And conference, we have a Labour government. A government who recalled Parliament to protect the production of British steel and keep the blast furnaces open in Scunthorpe. A government that has given an annual pay boost of £2,500 to the lowest paid workers. So I can say to our political opponents, stop running our country down. Celebrate the brilliance that is Britain. The industries that have made us the greatest country in the world, from fashion, television, film, steel, and car making, from nuclear to renewables. So let me say to the scientists, the entrepreneurs, the wealth creators, if your country doesn't want you, Britain is a country that does welcome the best and the brightest. Britain is on the march forwards once again. Conference, we are embarked on a new joint endeavour to rebuild the British economy for the people and for the people. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, a very well-deserved standing ovation there for Peter, and he also walks away with some exceptional merchandise, which thank you very much, GNV, for that. Maybe there's one for the rest of the cabinet as well, please. Just one point of clarification, folks, before we move on, and that is just that there are going to be votes on all composites at the end of the day. So you've got lots of voting to come later on as well. So we are soon going to hear from our Chancellor of the Exchequer, but before we do so, we're going to see a short film.
I call the Chancellor of the Exchequer. This government was given a mandate. to restore stability to our economy, and to begin a decade of national renewal. To girls and young women everywhere, I say, let there be no ceiling on your ambition, your hopes, and your dreams. The minimum wage up, real wages up, house building up, NHS investment up, investment in our schools up, investment in our roads up, defence spending up. Fixing the foundations of our economy, investing in our future, delivering change, rebuilding Britain.
Conference, we will now hear a few words from Matt Williams, who is a welder at Hinkley Point C and a GMB rep in the nuclear energy sector. Hi, Matt.
Conference, I must admit, I forgot my suit. But what an honour it is to stand here today to address you. I'm a proud GMB member, I'm a proud construction worker, and if you haven't already noticed, I'm a proud Welshman and Welsh speaker. I met Rachel at GMB Congress, where she made the announcement government were going to build Sizewell C nuclear power plant, investing in the biggest nuclear building programme in a generation, and investing in us. When I heard the promise, I felt honoured and excited. Delighted that our union voices have been heard alongside the rest of industry. This Labour government have shown the public something the Conservatives never did. That is committed to investing in the sectors of the future that will benefit households and families in years to come. That this will champion workers, create opportunities, giving them good, quality, skilled, unionised jobs. Allowing not just me, but every worker in every sector to have their life changed for the better. Building Sizewell C and committing £14.2 billion of investment, members across my union felt like they were pride in our industry again. After 14 years of false promises, we finally felt heard. This Labour government saw what I could see, that there's a future in nuclear, a future in clean energy, and an infrastructure investment that will create jobs and grow the economy, fulfilling the promise this government made last year. Rachel's actions made one thing clear. She has a confidence in my future, and this Labour government and Rachel Reeves are investing in a brighter future for the whole of Britain. This is the difference with a Labour government. And on behalf of all of us working in the sector, thank you. And I hope you really understand why it's my greatest pleasure to introduce the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves.
Thank you. Thank you, conference, and thank you, Matt, for that incredibly kind introduction. Your enthusiasm alone could power half the country for many years to come. Conference. In June, at the GMB Congress, I was proud to announce this Labour government's full backing for Sizewell C, a landmark investment in a new era of nuclear power. That plant will employ 10,000 people, create thousands more jobs in its supply chains, and produce the energy to power 6 million homes. We made that investment because when we came into office just over a year ago, this country was faced with a stark choice: investment or decline. To invest in Britain's renewal or to carry on with the same Tory economics and the same results. So for jobs and for pay, for energy independence and for our national security, we chose investment. The Tories wouldn't invest when they were in power. The Tories now oppose that choice from opposition. So conference, don't ever let anyone tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. I promised you we would run the economy differently. No longer would we turn a blind eye to where things are made and who makes them, or shrug our shoulders when the national interest is on the line. Because a strong economy must rest on strong foundations. I call that approach securonomics. That's why, when the shipbuilder Harland and Wolff was in danger, we chose to step in, to guarantee a future for shipbuilding in Belfast, in Devon, and in Fife. And I am proud to see the British shipbuilding industry going from strength to strength. With just last month, a record £10 billion export order from Norway for Scottish-built frigates. It's why we're taking action to protect the automotive industry, the jewel in the crown of British manufacturing, with a £1.5 billion loan guarantee to support Jaguar Land Rover, provide certainty and support for the jobs in its business and in its supply chain. And in April, when the foreign owners of British Steel rejected our offers of support, redirected essential materials overseas, and prepared that company to close, we faced another choice. We could do what the Tories did and stand idly by while jobs and industrial capacity were lost, or we could choose a different path, to take control of that company in the national interest. That was not just an economic choice, but a test of our conviction, our patriotism, and our Labour values. This government was not willing. This government was not willing, I was not willing, to tolerate a situation in Britain's steel capacity was fundamentally undermined. And nor was I willing to see yet another working class community lose its pride, lose the prosperity, lose the dignity that industry provides. So we chose to intervene, to save British steel and the jobs that go with it. The Tories would not back British steel, and they wouldn't back Britain's steel workers, but this Labour government is unequivocal. There must be a future, there will be a future for steel forged here on British soil. Today, I can tell you more. We are introducing new legislation to put our economic security first. We understand your cause and we are recognising a Palestinian state, but we are now a party in government, not a party of protest. And I'm proud to stand here as your Chancellor. The Chancellor that's increased the minimum wage, a Chancellor that is introducing free breakfast clubs and free school meals, a Chancellor that's overseen 5 cuts to interest rates. That's the difference we make, and that is the difference we make in power, not through protest. Our party has changed, and that is why I am standing here, proud to be your Chancellor of the Exchequer. We're putting Britain first, empowering us to prioritise British-built ships and British-forged steel, strengthening our national economic security, and creating good manufacturing jobs here in Britain. Because where things are made and who makes them does matter. And as we build those new railways and new roads, the new power stations and new runways for this generation and the next, we want the security and the good unionised jobs that come from making things here in Britain. I promised you we'd run the economy differently. The Tories didn't do it and they still don't get it, but Labour does. So don't let anyone ever tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. There is one reason why we have the power to make these choices. It's not a matter of luck or a routine swing in the political pendulum. It is because, thanks, Keir, to your leadership and to the efforts of countless people in this hall and beyond, that we earned the privilege to serve. Because we, every one of us, gave our all to regain the trust of the British people, to earn this precious chance to put our values into practice. Let me tell you what brought me here and what gets me up every morning. Let me tell you what I believe in and what drives me. Conference, you know where I come from. My mum and dad were primary school teachers, and I'm really proud of that. I know how hard they worked to give all the children that they taught the very best start in life. I know how hard all our teachers work. And I know parents' hopes and fears when it comes to their kids. I feel them for my own. But ordinary families find themselves fighting against a system which hoards privilege at the top, leaves too many working class kids behind. I joined the Labour Party almost 30 years ago now, because I could see that the Conservative governments I grew up under in the 80s and 90s, they didn't care much about schools like mine. Ellie knows that too. They didn't care much about the kids we grew up with. Textbooks rationed, libraries closed, kids herded into porter cabins, their prospects written off. I joined our party because I wanted to change all that. And those same values drive me now today. Conference, I believe in a Britain founded on contribution, where we do our duty for each other and where hard work is matched by fair reward. I believe in a Britain based on opportunity, where ordinary kids can flourish, unhindered by their backgrounds. And I believe that Britain's real wealth is found not only in the success of the fortunate few,
but in the talents of all our people in every part of our great country. But conference, we all know that our shared values can only achieve things for ordinary people if we have the power to act on them and a credible plan to put them into effect. A plan fit for an uncertain world in which we find ourselves, not for the world that we wish it might be. A plan to build a stronger, more resilient economy, able to navigate this age of insecurity. No one said it was going to be easy, but take pride in what we are achieving together. Not just the pride in winning, but pride too in the choices we are making and the lives we are changing. Remember that in every single one of the 451 days that we have been in office, we have achieved more than in the more than 5,000 days that we spent powerless in opposition. Every day since the 4th of July last year has brought with it a chance to change Britain for the better. Creating Britain's first genuine living wage, getting spades in the ground on new road and rail projects, backing our communities to strengthen pride in place, including here in Merseyside with the reopening of Southport Pier, investing in homegrown British energy, freezing fuel duty, capping bus fares, recruiting new neighbourhood police, opening school breakfast clubs, expanding free school meals, lifting 100,000 children out of poverty as we do it, and delivering a pay rise, a deserved pay rise, to our nurses, our teachers, our police and our armed forces. And conference, we're making the NHS fit for the future too, with £29 billion a year towards its day-to-day funding. A record cash investment, the NHS, created by a Labour government, protected by every Labour government, and renewed by this Labour government. Let me tell you something else we will do. I remember as a kid that my school library was turned into a classroom because there were more students than there was space. Think about the message that that sends about a government's priorities. How little value is placed on opportunities for kids to learn and to grow, to explore their interests independently, or to find a quiet place to study that isn't always on offer at home. Under another Conservative government, a generation later, many more kids have that experience. Today in England, there are 1,700 primary schools that don't have a school library. That's not right, and I will not let it stand. So I am committing here today to providing a library in every single primary school in England by the end of this Parliament. That is a statement of my values. That is a statement of the value that this government places on all our children's futures. So conference, the Tories don't make those choices. Reform would never make those choices. So take pride. Take pride in our values put into action. And conference, don't ever let anyone tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. Remember how it felt to look on as the Tories took our country in the wrong direction. Austerity, the botched Brexit deal, the mini-budget, school roofs crumbling, NHS waiting lists soaring, 5 prime ministers, 7 chancellors, the worst parliament on living standards ever. our institutions and our country's very reputation in tatters. And never forget what they did during the pandemic. While we were kept apart from our loved ones and feared for our families, the Conservatives partied in Downing Street and dished out contracts to their friends and to their donors. We are still paying the bill for their waste and their cronyism. So I'm pleased to tell you that thanks to our COVID Corruption Commissioner, almost £400 million has now been recovered for taxpayers that have been lost to COVID fraud. And we will continue that fight. And we will continue that fight to recover more from those PPE contracts that failed to deliver. But we won't stop there. In the coming months, we are bringing in additional new powers to investigate and recover more money from fraudsters who have ripped off the government and ripped off our public services. And I can tell you today too, that to deploy those new powers, we are recruiting a new hit squad to investigate and recover all the money that is owed to the British people. Because, conference, we want our money back. We are getting that money back, and we are putting it where it belongs, in our communities, in our schools, and in our National Health Service. But the most enduring consequences of the Conservatives' time in office come from their economic failure. They made Britain poorer. They made working people poorer. And they left our public finances in disarray. The single biggest factor underlying Britain's challenges on the cost of living, on the public finances, and on our public services is their 14-year failure on economic growth. If the UK economy had grown at just the average of other advanced economies in those 14 years, our economy today would be £140 billion bigger. That's almost £5,000 for every family in the UK. Our economic renewal will rest on stability to keep taxes, inflation, and interest rates as low as possible. Economic reform to unlock the contribution of businesses and working people, and investment in every part of Britain. Each day, I see a country primed for economic success, a skilled and committed workforce, world-class universities and innovative businesses. But the Conservatives and Reform, they want you to believe that our economy is broken, that our best days lie behind us, that decline is inevitable. I fundamentally reject that. It's not the country I see around me, not the future that I believe in. I know that things are still difficult. Bills are too high. Getting ahead can feel tough. And there are still too many obstacles in the way for businesses. And so our central economic objective is to change that. Growth to improve living standards is a challenge, and investment is a solution. By overhauling our planning system, reforming our pension system, launching Britain's very first national wealth fund and a modern industrial strategy, and signing new trade deals to back our manufacturers and our exporters with India, with the United States, and with our closest neighbours and allies in Europe. Just this month, thanks to Keir's hard work, we secured £150 billion of overseas investment just from the United States. I have never believed the Tory mantra that the best thing that a government can do is to get out of the way. A strategic state must use its power to support jobs and growth, and that includes through public investment. Under the Tories, capital spending was always the first victim when the public finances came under strain. So in last autumn's budget, I changed those fiscal rules to support and to protect investment. And alongside that, because I know that too often our regions outside London and the South East have not had their fair share of spending decisions, I rewrote those rules to support investment in every part of Britain. In place of decline, we have chosen investment. Investment in defence and the good jobs that come with that. In Plymouth and in Barrow, in Aldermaston and Lincoln, on the Clyde and in Inversnaid. Investment in energy, in nuclear power, yes, and in carbon capture and storage too. On the Humber and on Teesside, in Aberdeenshire and right here on Merseyside. Investment in transport, including the biggest ever investment in our city regions. We're investing here in Merseyside, with new links in St Helens and major investment in Merseyrail, including a new station at Liverpool Baltic. We're investing in Greater Manchester, with new tram stops in Bury, North Manchester, Oldham and Stockport. And we're investing in West Yorkshire to power ahead with a mass transit system, linking Bradford and Leeds, the largest city in Western Europe without a light rail or metro system, but not for much longer. We're investing in South Yorkshire and backing Doncaster Sheffield airports. We're investing in the North East to extend the Tyne and Wear Metro, linking Washington with Newcastle and Sunderland. We're investing in the East Midlands to link up the Trent Arc. We're investing in the West Midlands, extending the Birmingham Metro and backing the Midlands Rail Hub to link Birmingham, Worcestershire and Herefordshire with Wales. And we're investing in Welsh railways, with new stations and new infrastructure, the benefits of two Labour governments working together. And we're investing in East-West Rail to join up the Oxford-Cambridge Growth Corridor and Conference, as well as the Transpennine Route upgrade to link Manchester, Leeds and York and the towns in between them. This Labour government will push ahead with our plans for Northern Powerhouse Rail. Plans never delivered by the Conservatives, plans opposed by Reform, but backed by this Labour government, a vote of confidence in the north of England, to get people to work, to connect families, to create jobs, and to build prosperity in towns and cities scarred by underinvestment for far too long. That is what we are achieving together, a Labour government working with our Labour leaders around the country, delivering for working people. And Conference, we're not just investing in defence and energy and transport. The housing crisis is one of the greatest challenges that we face. Every family deserves the security, safety, and the joy of a good home. That is why we are powering ahead with our commitment to build 1.5 million homes in this Parliament. And any plan to match the scale of that housing crisis must involve a major role for social housing, which is why I allocated £40 billion in the spending review just a few months ago. The biggest cash investment into council, social and affordable housing in a generation. So Conference, don't ever let anyone tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. But Conference, let us be clear. All that we are doing is only possible because we, all of us, put in the hard work to show the British people that we could be trusted to manage our economy. Because we were unequivocal in our commitment to economic responsibility. And I will never, ever squander that hard-earned trust. We were able to increase investment only because we remained steadfast in that commitment to economic responsibility. That is not a trade-off with our Labour values. It is essential to our Labour values. Because our ambition for Britain, our dedication to social justice, is not measured in the size of the deficit you are willing to run, but in the choices we make to defend and advance the interests of working people. And responsible management of our public finances is an integral part to that most basic mission. It is because of the stability that we have created that we have seen 5 cuts to interest rates since the general election. Mortgage costs coming down and hundreds of pounds back in the pockets of working people. Conference, every advance we make in getting the cost of living down is a Labour achievement, and we should take pride in that. When I said that we must not and will not take risks with Britain's economic stability, that argument was not just for an election. Even now, with the global uncertainty that we have seen ripple through financial markets, there are still critics out there who would too readily forget the consequences of reckless economic choices. Never forget that in 2 hours, one Friday, almost exactly 3 years ago, the Conservatives under Liz Truss sent mortgage costs spiralling, put pensions in peril, and consigned their party not just to defeat, but to utter irrelevance. That was a warning. And the British people will not forgive any party that forgets it. Conference, let us reaffirm our commitment that we will never, ever do what the Conservatives did to ordinary working people in this country. But I do know that there are still people who peddle the idea that we could just abandon economic responsibility, cast off any constraints on spending. They are wrong, dangerously so. And we need to be honest about what that choice would mean. Because when spending gets out of control, when market confidence is lost, that doesn't just show up in some OBR report and some difficult headlines a few months later. It is felt immediately in the growing cost of essentials and rising interest rates. And let me tell you, there is nothing progressive, nothing Labour, about government using 1 in every £10 of public money it spends on financing debt to interest. Billions of pounds every single year going towards repaying debt racked up by the Tories, paid to overseas hedge funds and investors. That's not how I want to spend public money. In the months ahead, we will face further tests, with the choices to come made all the harder by harsh global headwinds and the long-term damage done to our country, which is becoming ever clearer. Our first year in power was about fixing the foundations. Our second must be about building a renewed economy for a renewed Britain. A renewed economy that works for working people and rewards their contribution. A renewed economy where we reject austerity and support our public services. A renewed economy that supports investment, that gets inflation and borrowing down, and where we build growth in every part of Britain. I will make my choices at that budget. They will be choices to take our country forward. And whatever tests come our way, whatever tests come my way, I make this commitment to you. I will take no risks with the trust placed in us by the British people. Remember everything that is at stake here. The single greatest threat to our way of life and to the living standards of working people is the agenda of Nigel Farage and the Reform Party. Whatever falsehoods they push, whatever easy answers they peddle, however willing they are to tear communities and families apart, they are not on the side of working people. Conference, here are the questions that we must never tire of repeating between now and the next election. Who is standing up for Britain's working people? A Labour government introducing the biggest upgrade of workers' rights in decades? Or a Reform Party which has opposed those rights every single step of the way? Who is standing up for Britain's interests? A Labour government that stands with our allies? Or a Reform Party in bed with Vladimir Putin? Who is standing up for Britain's economic stability? A Labour government resolute in getting prices and interest rates down? Or a Reform Party that cheered on the mini-budget of Liz Truss? Who is standing up for Britain's businesses? A Labour government that is forging closer relationships with our nearest trading partners? Or a Reform Party who wants to talk Britain down and longs to cut us off from the rest of the world? And who is standing up for Britain's National Health Service? A Labour government investing record amounts in our NHS? Or a Reform Party opposed to the very principle of a publicly funded healthcare system free at the point of use? Every time, on every issue, it is Labour that is standing up for working people and standing up for our national interest. Friends, this is a fight that we must win, and it is a fight that we will win. So when you leave this hall, when you return to your communities and your workplaces, let the message ring out that there is only one party that was founded by working people, and only one party that is committed absolutely to defending their interests on jobs and on pay, on rights at work, on health and in our schools, on the safety of our streets and the strength of our communities, on energy security and on national security. The clue is in the name, Conference. That party, the party of working people, is the Labour Party. I'll tell you about my patriotism. It's about the strength of our military and the security of our borders, absolutely. But it goes well beyond that. It's about building a country where we recognise that talent is found in every classroom, not just among those at the top. That working people of every background, wherever they grow up, have more in common with each other than those who wish to divide us. That every town and city, every region and nation in this United Kingdom has a part to play in our shared success. A country where we look out for each other, in good times and in bad, where we back British businesses to succeed in the world, and where we back working people too. So that honest work pays a wage that you can afford to live on. Where we recognise that we are strongest when we work together towards that better Britain. A patriotism not measured in how quick you are to exclude, how loudly you shout, how willing you are to exploit every division and distort every challenge that we face. But a patriotism measured in our obstinate determination, our impatience, our commitment to building a better, fairer, more prosperous Britain. That is our patriotic mission. Those are our Labour values. Those are our British values, and we will fight for them. Conference, never forget who we do this for. Before the summer, I was at a breakfast club in the north of England. It was 8:30 in the morning and there was a little boy sitting on the floor playing with his Lego. He showed me what he was building. He was really proud of his project and he wanted to tell me all about it. I enjoyed sitting with him and listening to him talk. Afterwards, one of the teachers said something that stayed with me. She said, "You know that boy, when he started coming to breakfast here, he didn't speak at all. He was completely silent." I was shocked, but maybe I shouldn't have been. Because stories like that are too common in Britain. And I thought about the money that we're putting into breakfast clubs. What does that pay for? Some toast and cereal, maybe some juice, an extra hour of a teacher's time to keep an eye on the kids. But what does it actually buy? For that little boy sitting on the floor, absorbed in his Lego, it bought him more than food. It bought him an opportunity. The opportunity of time spent at school in a more intimate environment, where he could play and feel at ease. The opportunity to start the school day ready to learn. The opportunity of a better start in life, and with it perhaps the opportunity of a better future. Conference, that's what we all fight for. That's who I fight for. That's who this party is for. Kids like him, families like his. I know that there is much more to do, and I promise you we will do it. But we should take pride in the lives already being changed by the choices that we have made. And let me tell you, there is no greater champion for working class kids than my friend and my colleague, our Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson. Believe me, she will not rest, and I will not rest until those barriers to opportunity are torn down. That is what we are in this for, friends. But those barriers don't just vanish the day a young person leaves school. The last Labour government supported hundreds of thousands of young people into work with its New Deal. But once again, under the Conservatives, too many young people found themselves trapped, frozen out of employment, education or training. There's no defending that. It's bad for business, bad for taxpayers, bad for our economy. And it scars people's prospects throughout the rest of their lives. At the spending review, I pledged record investment in skills to support our young people. And today I can announce that with that investment, we will fund a new youth guarantee. Every young person will be guaranteed either a place in college for those who want to continue their studies, or an apprenticeship to help them learn a trade vital to our plans to rebuild our country, or some one-to-one support to help them find a job. But more than that, our guarantee means that any young person out of work, education or training for more than 18 months will be given a paid work placement. Real work, practical experience, new skills. Conference, we won't leave a generation of young people to languish without prospects, denied the dignity, denied the security and the ladders of opportunity that good work provides. Just as the last Labour government achieved that with the New Deal, I commit this Labour government to nothing less than the abolition of long-term youth unemployment. We've done it before, Conference, and we will do it again, and that is the difference that this Labour government is making. And that's not all. We should not cut young people off from opportunities that my generation took for granted. And that means rejecting the politics of isolation and division, for which our young people pay the gravest price. It means defying those voices which claim to speak in the national interest, but which demand that our people, our communities, and our businesses suffer the consequences for a Britain cut off from the rest of Europe. I don't want young people to miss out on the chance to enrich their lives through travel, experiencing other cultures, working and studying abroad. Those opportunities cannot and must not be the sole preserve of the wealthy and the fortunate. So, as well as making it easier to trade with Europe, as well as making it easier to travel in Europe, I can tell you today that we are working with the European Union to secure for young people in Britain the maximum economic and cultural opportunities available through an ambitious agreement on youth mobility. So, conference, don't ever let anyone tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. This year has brought its fair share of challenges for our party and our country. They won't be the last. We've turned our backs on the path of decline, and we've chosen investment. But there is further to go. So yes, I'm proud that under our watch, Britain has been the fastest growing economy in the G7. But is there more to do if we want prosperity in every part of Britain? Absolutely. I'm proud to have overseen wages rising by more in the first 10 months of this Labour government than in the first 10 years of the previous Conservative government. But is there more to do if we want to make working people better off? Absolutely. And I'm proud that we've recruited 2,000 new GPs, delivered 5,000 extra appointments, and cut NHS waiting lists by more than 200,000. But is there more to do if we want an NHS truly fit for the future? Absolutely. And conference, we are just getting started. So whatever challenges come our way, don't be deterred, because I can see the destination if we stay true to our course. A Britain where every child can flourish, no matter their background or their parents' jobs or where they grow up. And never let anyone tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. When people ask you, who is this government for? When they ask you, whose side are you on? Then you can tell them. Go and ask the steel worker in Scunthorpe, the engineer in Barrow, the shipbuilder on the Clyde. Ask the mum on the living wage, going to work secure in their knowledge that her children will get a good start to the day. Ask the nurse who has had back-to-back pay rises due to this Labour government. Ask the business facing lower barriers to trade. And ask the patient finally off a waiting list because of this Labour government. There is further to go. But whatever tests confront us, have faith. Because our party and our country have overcome greater challenges than these. Have faith. Because the opportunity to serve is what we came into this for. Have faith, knowing that this Labour government will not rest. I will not rest until our patriotic cause is realised. In a Britain that prizes contribution, that unlocks opportunity, that silences the nagging voices of decline. And never let anyone tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. The world may throw challenges our way, but a better Britain is within reach. A Britain where the barriers to opportunity are torn asunder. A Britain able to look outwards with confidence, defiant in an uncertain world, powered by the contribution of its people, hopeful for our shared future. A proud Britain, a prosperous Britain, a Labour Britain. Thank you. Thank you, conference.
Like a Wednesday when we had our first date. I remember that place. I kinda sensed some fate. Stars drawn around scars. Yellow beams in my heart. Don't tell anyone. Don't. Seasons start to change. I've been daydreaming for days. Yeah, you got me in a loop. Send me pictures of the moon. So the balls in your court. If I'm something you adore and you wanna see me more, I'll be okay with that. Would a boy like you, like a girl like me? Doesn't matter if we don't know where this leads. Would a boy like you, like a girl like me? Like a girl like me, like a girl like me. It's the end of the day, and you're getting more confusing. On a parachute, I'm cruising. If you snooze, then you're losing. Say what you gotta say, what I wanna hear you say. Don't let it get too late. Come soothe all my soul. Seasons start to change. I've been daydreaming for days. Yeah, you got me in a loop. Send me pictures of the moon. So the balls in your court. If I'm something you adore, do you wanna see me more? Well, send me flowers. Would a boy like you, like a girl like me? Doesn't matter if we don't know where this leads. Would a boy like you, like a girl like me? Like a girl like me, like a girl like me. things we'll never know. Give me all the world, get another dollar. Happy you. Give me all the world, get another dollar. Happy you. Give me all the world, get another dollar. Happy you. Give me all the world, get another dollar. Oh, I can't say from what you do. Let what you do. Say I'm terrible, wasn't true. And I do, it's true. Give me all the world, get another dollar. Happy you. Give me all the world, get another dollar. Happy you. Give me all the world, get another dollar. Happy you. Give me all the world, get another dollar.
Watch you move like that. Watch you move like that. Got me spinning around the sun. I can't choose my past, but I can choose you next. I don't wanna let you down. Oh, baby, come ride with me. Slide when we get high with me. I love when you roll with me. Talk to us, no lies. This ain't no love song, ain't far from confessions. I feel your intention, and you by my side. Take my mind to another place. I feel it come now, I feel your rain on my skin. When the sun down, show me where. Ways to follow intention, ways to unknown dimensions. Take my mind to another place. On my skin, when the sun down, show me where. Ways to follow attention, ways to unknown dimensions. Baby, why you move like that? Baby, how you do it like that? I just need you right here. Maybe it's the moonlight, yeah. Do it right, yeah. I can't see the skies falling. We don't talk a lot. Love is cold, whatever you got, I want some more. Baby, how you move like that? Losing my cool right here. I just like you like that. Baby, how you move like that? How you move like don't feel this often. Maybe I lost it. Feel like I'm falling. Where will we go? Take my mind to another place. Take my mind away. I feel it come down, I feel your rain on my skin. When the sun down, show me where. Ways to follow intention, ways to unknown dimensions. Take my mind to another place. Feel it come down, I feel your rain on my skin. When the sun down, show me where. Ways to follow intention, ways to unknown dimensions.
fight my way out. The song always made sense to me. Now I find that when I look down, every page is empty. There is nothing to describe except the moon sailing bright against the worrying sky. I pray the trees will get their leaves soon. So tell me when I'm putting my life. Do I wait for time to do what it does? I don't know when I'm putting my life. So tell me when I'm putting my life. Do I wait for time to do what it does? I don't know when I'm putting my life. I don't know where I'm putting my life. When it came, it was stranger than I had ever imagined. No cracking open of heaven, but quiet and steady. So tell me when I'm putting my life. Do I wait for time to do what it does? I don't know when I'm putting my life. So tell me when I'm putting my life. Do I wait for time to do what it does? I don't know when I'm putting my life.
Somewhere here is something beautiful. Somewhere hiding in the undergrowth. But you won't let me go. Huh. You won't let me go. See the smoke from the wildfires. Feel that burning heat from your desires. You won't let me go. No, baby, you won't let me go. If you want some of my love, but you don't know. If you feel something, I'm ready, I'm steady. Let me know. So you dance me to the edge of fear, only to pull away my when I get near. Oh, yeah. Close your eyes, pretend the flames ain't real. Cause you're scared to death of just how good it could make you feel. And find out if there's something here for us before this thing we're building burns to dust. You want some of my love, but you don't know if you feel something. I'm ready, I'm steady. If you want some of my love, but you don't know if you feel something. I'm ready, I'm steady. If you want some of my love, but you don't know if you feel something. I'm ready, I'm steady. If you want some of my love, but you don't know if you feel something. I'm ready, I'm steady.
Lonely in this crowd, I sit alone. Oh, one more drink away from heading home. Oh, oh, I can feel the night slipping by. Oh, away from me. And oh, she caught my eye through the light, and she came right up to me. She said, oh, hi, nice to meet you tonight. Maybe we could go dance, get up off our feet. She said, peace, life ain't forever. One song here together, then let's play it on repeat. We can dance all night. We can dance in the morning light. Let's forget about our worries and the wild world outside. She said, oh, hi, nice to meet you tonight. Maybe we could go dance, get up off our feet. We can dance all night. She took my hand and led me through the dark. Oh, she said, feel the beat, forget the broken passing by, oh, away from me. And oh, I saw the light in her eyes, that she came right up to me. She said, oh, hi, nice to meet you tonight. Maybe we could go dance, get up off our feet. She said, this life ain't forever one, so here together, then let's play it on repeat. We can dance all night. We can dance till the morning light. Let's forget about our worries and the wild world outside. She said, oh, hi, nice to meet you tonight. Maybe we could go dance, get up off our feet. We can dance all night. We can dance all night. She said, oh, hi, nice to meet you tonight. Maybe we could go dance, get up off our feet. She said, this life ain't forever one, so here together, then let's play it on repeat. We can dance all night.
What's it about a case that makes me feel like this? Makes me an optimist, I guess. I always jump too quick, hoping this one might stick. Hopelessly romantic. And you said, hey, and I said, hey, what's your name? Come with me, 'cause when I see your face, the sweetest pleasure, I feel like we're gonna be together. This could be the end of an era. Who knows, baby, this could be forever. Forever. No more, you're not my type. No more, at least I tried. Done with the lonely nights, I guess. One chapter might be done. God knows I had some fun. New one has just begun. You said, hey, and I said, hey, what's your name? Come with me, 'cause when I see your face, the sweetest pleasure, I feel like we're gonna be together. This could be the end of an era. Who knows, baby, this could be forever. Forever. In the clouds where she goes, butterflies, let them flow. Another girl falls in love, another girl leaves the club. Send a big kiss goodbye to all of the pretty eyes. Another girl falls in love, another girl leaves the club. I've lost all my senses. La 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 la, la 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 la. Is this my happy ending? La 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 la, la 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 la. Here she goes again. The sweetest pleasure, I feel like we're gonna be together. This could be the end of an era. Who knows, baby, this could be forever and ever. In the clouds where she goes, butterflies, let them flow. Another girl falls in love, another girl leaves the club. Send a big kiss goodbye to all of the pretty eyes. Another girl falls in love, another girl leaves the club. Here we are back again, fighting what's in front of me. There's so much to unpack again. If I come to Italy, we could be nice to each other, wrong for each other, right for each other, and rise to each other, rise to each other. Don't know where the switches are, where you keep the cutlery, and I'll probably crash a stupid car and make your life a misery. But we could be nice to each other, wrong for each other, right for each other, and rise to each other, rise to each other. Cause you know I've done all the classic stuff and it never works, you know it. So can we say we'll never say the classic stuff to show it? Now, you know it. Now. Meet me on the mountaintop. I'll be in the shower and wait for you to call it all. Cause I don't want a boyfriend, but we could be nice to each other, wrong for each other, right for each other, and rise to each other, rise to each other. Cause you know I've done all the classic stuff and it never works, you know it. So can we say we'll never say the classic stuff to show it? Water, sunlight, talking all night, just enough to grow it. Now, you know it. Now. It could be mine, it could be sad. Oh, it could be nice though. Oh, to each other. We could be nice though. Oh, to each other. Could be nice though. Oh, to each other. Could be nice though. Oh, to each other.
Time stood still, just like a photograph. You made me feel like this will last forever. Looking in your eyes, I see my whole life. Oh, they say you know it, but you know it, I don't know. Oh, promise that you'll hold me close, don't let me go. Take my heart, don't break it. Love me to my bones. All this time I've wasted. You were right there all along. You and I stargazing, intertwined in songs. We were never strangers. You were right there all along. I lose my mind when I'm around you, how I come alive. When I'm without you, I can't help but feel so lost. I wanna give you all I've got. Oh, they say you know it, but you know it, I don't know. Oh, promise that you'll hold me on my bones. All this time I've wasted, you were right there all along.
How could you make it seem so obvious? Wait until the end, tell me we'll stay best friends. How could you make it feel so obvious? Touching what you do, I still respond to you. Ooh, I'm emotional, made a mess, you know, so irreproachable. Stop it. And I'm the next girl, you're unemotional, you were nice to know. Slowly taking over. Baby, have you noticed the sky is rearranging? I feel it moving me. But just really say that everything's amazing. Slowly taking over. Baby, have you noticed the sky is rearranging? Unemotional, you were nice to know. I know this is a fight for a Friday night. But listening in my brain and I wanna make sure I'm saying it right. The status check is due, so I still belong to you. You look me in the eye and say with a smile it will be alright, it will be alright. I'm emotional, made a mess, you know, so irreproachable. What was that? And I'm the next girl, you're unemotional, you were nice to know. Slowly taking over. Baby, have you noticed the sky is rearranging? I feel it moving me. Nothing's really safe, everything's amazing. Slowly taking over. Baby, have you noticed the sky is rearranging? Unemotional, you were nice to know.
I've been burned, I've been broke, 20 something, that's just what it is. Been naive, been a joke, been a serial monogamist. No, I'm just trying to tell you, but that was then, and this is now. Forever promises just let me down. If I'm being so candid, hold me and don't plan it. Just for hype for the night, yeah, that's my love language. No need for romantics, we don't need tomorrow's damage. Just for hype for the night, talking my love language. You're talking my, you're talking my. Just for hype for the night, talking my love language. Used to hold on for dear life, and even when it wasn't right, got real good making bad mistakes. Take it so hard, could kiss me, just walk in and fix me. And now love looks like Saturday, staying up late. But that was then, and this is now. Forever promises just let me down. I'm being so candid, hold me and don't plan it. Just for hype for the night, yeah, that's my love language. No need for romantics, we don't need tomorrow's damage. Just for hype for the night, talking my love language. You're talking my, you're talking my. You're talking my love language, my love language. If you pull me in close, I can follow your clothes. If you wanna go talk, then you better make sure it's uncommittal. Uncommittal. Is it really that wrong? Waking up and I'm gone. That's not leading you on. Don't you all that I want? It's plain and simple. Plain and simple. If I'm being so candid, hold me and don't plan it. Just for head for the night. Yeah, that's my love language. No need for romantics. We don't need tomorrow's damage. Just for head for the night. Talking my love language. You're talking my. You're talking my. Just for head for the night. Talking my love language. You're talking my. You're talking my. Talking my love language. My love language. I come and I go. Tell me all the ways you need me. I'm not here for long. Catch me or I go Houdini. I come and I go. Prove you got the right to please me. Everybody knows. Catch me or I go Houdini. Time is passing like a solar eclipse. See you watching and you blow me a kiss. It's your moment, baby, don't let it slip. Coming closer, are you reading my lips? They say I come and I go. Tell me all the ways you need me. I'm not here for long. Catch me or I go Houdini. I come and I go. Prove you got the right to please me. Everybody knows. Catch me or I go Houdini. If you're good enough, you'll find a way. Maybe you could cause a girl to change. Do you think about it night and day? Maybe you could be the one to make me stay. Everything you say is sounding so sweet, but do you practice everything that you preach? I need something that'll make me believe. If you got it, baby, give it to me. They say I come and I go. Tell me all the ways you need me. I'm not here for long. Catch me or I go Houdini. I come and I go. Prove you got the right to please me. Everybody knows. Catch me or I go Houdini. If you're good enough, you'll find a way. Maybe you could cause a girl to change. Do you think about it night and day? Maybe you could be the one to make me stay. Tell me all the ways you need me. I'm not here for long. Catch me or I go Houdini. I come and I go. Prove you got the right to please me. Everybody knows. Catch me or I go Houdini. Catch me or I go Houdini.
keeps you numb. If everything you are is built on memories, you won't ever be here with me. You won't ever be here with me. Hold me in the fire till it's alright. Hold me in the hurt until we're free. Don't let go of my hand till it's daylight. I can't tell where you end and I begin. No, I can't tell where you end and I begin. If you were watching, can you tell me how I did? 'Cause I can taste it. 'Cause all these fires know where we hid of this recurring dream that everything is alright. So don't give up now, baby. The fight, the fight, the fight, the fight, the fight you learn to love keeps you alive. But the love you learn to fight, it keeps you numb. If everything you are is built on memories, you won't ever be here with me. You won't ever be here with me. Hold me in the fire till it's alright. Hold me in the hurt until we're free. Don't let go of my hand till it's daylight. I can't tell where you end and I begin. No, I can't tell where you end and I begin. So if that is broken, let me break. 'Cause at least I'm open to the magic that you make. And if I'm bad, ain't know which way to fall into you now. It's 'cause I can't tell where you end and I begin. No, I can't tell where you end and I begin. I wanna go hard, I wanna have fun, I wanna be happy, could you show me how it's done? You look so pretty, pretty like the sun. I could watch forever while you shine on everyone. I wanna go hard, I wanna have fun, I wanna be happy, could you show me how it's done? You look so pretty, pretty like the sun. I could watch forever while you shine on everyone. I wanna go hard, I wanna have fun, I wanna be happy, could you show me how it's done? You look so pretty, pretty like the sun. I could watch forever while you shine on everyone. Wanna be happy, wanna be pretty, wanna be happy, wanna be like the sun. Wanna be happy, wanna be pretty, wanna be happy, wanna be like the sun. Wanna be happy, wanna be pretty, wanna be happy, I want a better body, I want better skin. I wanna be perfect like all your other friends. You look so pretty, pretty like the wind. Every time you touch me, I feel adrenaline. I wanna go hard, I wanna have fun, I wanna be happy, could you show me how it's done? You look so pretty, pretty like the sun. I could watch forever while you shine on everyone. Wanna be happy, wanna be pretty, wanna be happy, wanna
It's the only way to go through. I won't lose myself for anybody. I'm not sorry. Yeah. Though it hurts, I only wish you blessings. Intuition talks, you gotta listen. I won't lose myself for anybody. I'm not sorry. Yeah. You build me up to break me down. Never respect the love you found. I had a voice inside the back of my mind. I always knew it deep down. You don't deserve me, but you won't lie. Got no more tears to cry. Oh, oh, no looking back this time. Running from the truth was getting reckless. In your arms, I never felt protected. Oh. You don't deserve me, babe, won't lie. Got no more tears to cry. Oh, oh, no looking back this time.
Sunshine on my mind, got love but we ain't got time, no, no. Late nights, real good times, stayed up just to cross those lines, oh, oh. And I get that feeling inside. Every time it takes me to my room, it's like a dizzy summer bloom, got me thinking about you. Takes me to my roots, my roots, my roots, my roots, my roots. Time flies on my days, on the young making dumb mistakes. Oh, get lost in a drunken haze, gone lost but I'm on my way home. Way home. Oh, and takes me to my roots like a dizzy summer bloom. Got me thinking about you. My roots getting higher than the moon. Got me thinking about you. Every time it takes me to my roots. You got me thinking about my roots. My roots. I get that feeling inside. Every time it takes me to my roots like a dizzy summer bloom. Got me thinking about you. My roots getting higher than the moon. Got me thinking about you. Every time it takes me to my roots. Every time it takes me to my roots. I've been used to living in the darkness, it's all I've ever known. I've been stuck feeling cold and heartless. Yeah, I've been so alone. And one day you walked right into my life. Now my skin is covered with sunshine. There's just something different about you and I. So tell me when the darkness falls, will you leave the light on for me? Will you stay for the night if I need? Be my ride or die through the lows and the highs. When I'm not by your side, tell me if you will leave the light on for me. Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? The light on for me. Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? The light on for me. The light on for me. Now I'm living, floating up on cloud nine. I don't wanna come down. I can't believe that I get to call you mine. Look at the love we found. I think about the day you walked in my life. I thank God every time you're by my side. There's something so different about you and I. So tell me when the darkness falls, will you leave the light on for me? Will you stay for the night if I need? Be my ride or die through the lows and the highs. When I'm not by your side, tell me if you will leave the light on for me. Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? The light on for me. Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? Would you leave the light? The light on for me. The light on for me. Leave the light. Leave the light. Light on for me. Leave the light. Leave the light. Leave the light. Light on for me. Will you leave the light on for me? Will you stay for the night if I need? Be my ride or die through the lows and the highs. But I'm not by your side. Tell me what you leave. Will you leave the light on for me? Will you stay for the night if I need?
peace. I wanna be tangled and wrapped in your cloud. I wanna be close to your face. But tomorrow can wait. Freezing time in this place till the sun is away. Like a magnet on me. I don't care what they say. We can do it our way. And if love's just a game, come and play. Aziza, meet me on the floor tonight. Show me how to move like the water. In between the dancing lights. Be mine, Aziza. Aziza. I wanna get lost in your ocean and drown. I wanna be careless and free. I wanna live here in the moment we found. I wanna be all that you see. But tomorrow can wait. Freezing time in this place till the sun is away. Be like a magnet on me. I don't care what they say. We can do it our way. And if love's just a game, come and play. Aziza, meet me on the floor tonight. Show me how to move like the water. In between the dancing lights. Be mine, Aziza. Meet me on the floor tonight. Show me how to move like the water. In between the dancing lights. Be mine, Aziza. Aziza. Aziza.
Always ends the same when it was me and you. Every time I meet somebody new, it's like deja vu. I swear they sound the same. It's written on my skin. Every word they say sounds just like him, and it goes like this. We get in your car and you need to kiss me. We're up for hours and lie on the backseat. And the moon bright the night when everything changes. You won't reply and we'll go back to strangers. It's something that I hate, how everyone's disposable. Every time I date somebody new, I feel vulnerable, that it'll never change, and it will just stay like this. Never ending day in breaking up, and it goes like this. We get in your car and you need to kiss me. We'll talk for hours and lie on the backseat. And the moon bright the night when everything changes. You won't reply and we'll go back to strangers. Always ends the same when it was me and you. But every time I meet somebody new, it's like deja vu. And when we spoke for months, what did you ever mean? How can they say that this is love when it goes like this? We'll get in your car and you need to kiss me. We'll talk for hours and lie on the backseat. And the moon bright the night when everything changes. You won't reply and we'll go back to strangers.
is in the air. It doesn't matter who you know, but travel is in the air. Yeah, traveling till it takes us there. Yeah. Hey, yo, I've been there, I've done that. Got the power of a million in one man. Now I'm feeling like a damn god. Goddamn, I ain't trying to be a madman. John Ham, real talk, yeah, I've been there and seen that. I just wanna get my cake off and eat that, but it's not even about that. It's deep, fam. If you seen what I made, bruv, these hands, yeah, it's time for the comeback. Yeah, they want that. Everybody missing fun rap, but they're on tap. Come along for your suntan and the clap clap. You can even bring your gun hands, but a brap brap. It's a space-bound party, then we zoom off. So they're gonna bring an army, yeah, and do what? We ain't even trying to be here, but we're too gone. Wanna know when we get there, never too long, too long. Woo! Traveling our troubles through the air. We don't need to worry about a thing. Popping bubbles, then we're cloud jumping. We don't need to worry about the do's and don'ts. Whichever is in the air. It doesn't matter who you know. Whichever is in the air. Traveling till it takes us there. Yeah. Ooh, don't you doubt mine. Airborne groove, man, I prove how high it's true. Views from Cloud9. Paid my dues, lump sum outright. Got proof. Got the t-shirt too. Live on the air, lifetime on the move. Gonna break right through. No me, no you. On the one love vibe. So pure, so true then. Life has its way with us. Plays with us. So we all crave a rush. Rave it up. Yeah, got a taste for lust, but still nothing ain't free, gotta pay for lush. Tsunami surfer, the waves are high. Any dream is a winner if you aim it right. Can't rush it down low, gotta take your time. You can't airdrop us, we're too fly, too right. Woo! Traveling our troubles through the air. We don't need to worry about a thing. Popping bottles, then we're cloud jumping.